the Honorable Honorable Michael Quay, also made certain comments about human rights. And he said that if we had to give any accolades of human rights to anybody, it should be Nanado and not Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. I think we have the video, but I don't have enough time. So everybody...
You know what?
Who probably
I will not even talk about what Professor Okwe said. He's a former Speaker of Parliament. I have a lot of respect for him. But let me vehemently disagree with that. Okay? In 2020, 8 people died. 8 people were shot to death. Up to today, the president has never even addressed it. No police inquiry, no, no criminal proceedings, nothing. I could go on and on and on, but so I disagree. But let me talk about the founding of this country. You see, in 1891,
check for me.
In 1891, a certain gentleman called Jacob Wilson spent his own money to send a deputation to Queen Victoria about the land bill that the colonial administration had put in effect. In fact, if that land bill had stood, Ghana would have been like Rhodesia, right? Because the colonial administration was simply allocating our land to white people. That is what that land bill was supposed to do. And Queen Victoria stopped it, right? So, when we are talking about people who have contributed to our independence, there's so many of them contributed to our independence, including Corporal Sergeant Ajete, Corporal Atipo, those who died at the Christiansburg Crossroads. These big 6 that we talk about, if you know the history of it, the big 6, they were actually big 8. But the helicopter was not big enough to ferry all of them. And of the big 6, 5 of them denied culpability. Only Nkrumah stood up and accepted responsibility. That he wanted independence, he wanted independence now. All over the world, there have been spearheads of independence and their governmental system. If you go to India, is Gandhi. It's not Nehru. If you go to Pakistan, it's Ali Jinnah. It's not Zulfikar Ali Bhutto. If you go to the United Kingdom, their constitutional democracy that they have now was spearheaded by Oliver Cromwell. They accept it after the English Revolution. And we could go on and on and on and on. Right? But what has happened in this country is that a certain group of people want to rewrite our history for their own parochial issues with Nkrumah, because they claim they brought Nkrumah to this country. They have decided that they want to change our history and make sure that Nkrumah is not the one who is recognized as the spearhead of our independence. Right? President Akufo, well, they are trying. President Akufo said that, and I'm quoting him, let's not pretend like we were all asleep. Do you know the antecedents of President Akufo-Addo's political history? When he came back from the United Kingdom, from Oxford University, for whatever reason that he came back, he went into the CPP. Akufo-Addo was teaching at the Kwame Nkrumah Ideological Institute. So why is he sitting here pretending?
Pretending what?
That he doesn't know anything about Nkrumah.
Well, he has not denied his history of politics.
No. What he said, and I'm quoting him, that let us not pretend like we were all asleep. So when he was teaching at the Kwame Nkrumah Ideological Institute, what was he teaching? Was he teaching the Ideological Institute students that Nkrumah is not the person who gave us independence? Didn't you hear what their now vice presidential candidate said in Jubilee Park? Mo Kwame Nkrumah.
Oh, you mean?
Right? The same Mo Kwame Nkrumah.
He apologized for it.
I haven't heard the apology.
You haven't heard? Haven't you heard?
I'm behaving like Nana. I haven't heard it. I haven't heard it.
Okay.
I'm behaving like Nana Fredua now. You see?
Is that how Nana Fredua behaves?
Yeah. That's what
I'm
in puny. So, you see, that thing that they've tried to do over time, Annie, they have gone as far as changing history in books for our children. Yes. But you see, it's not washing. At the turn of this century, the whole of Africa voted on who the most consequential African was. And it was Kwame Nkrumah. When Nelson Mandela was asked whether he has a problem with Nkrumah being the most consequential African, he asked the interviewer, do you know who I voted for? South Africans recognize Nelson Mandela as the promulgator of modern South Africa. But South Africa, he spent 27 years in jail. So if you want to do the arithmetic, maybe we should say his wife. Or maybe we should say those who stood and fought the South African apartheid regime. Because the likes of Governor Mbeki and the likes of Oliver Tambo were all part of the struggle. But nobody has come out and said that he was. And indeed, the person who finally acquiesced to it, right, was actually the white Prime Minister de Klerk. Nobody has said de Klerk is the one who gave South Africa its modern colors. We all accept that it was Nelson Mandela. When you go to the US, who is the person accredited with granting, fighting the British for US independence? Is it not George Washington? Did he fight alone? Indeed, the person who started that rebellion was a gentleman named John Brown. When we were in school, we were taught a certain rhyme. John Brown's body lies somebody in the grave, but his soul goes marching on. John Brown is the one who rode from Boston on a horse and died immediately after he got to Washington D.C. I'm simply saying that that attempt at twisting our history and changing our hold on. There have been UP's government in this country. Even though they may disagree in principle, they have not tampered with the history. They have not changed holidays. Dr. Buzia didn't change Republic Day holidays. You preside over a Republican country and you choose to change the Republican holiday and make it the holiday of the birth of the UGCC.
Okay.
These people have gone as far as telling us that mosquitoes gave us independence because the British didn't like mosquitoes. After superintending this country for 500 years, they have now discovered the mosquito.
Okay, Nana.
The ridiculousness of these debates against recognizing contributions by many people to where we are. I can't figure it out. Why we're busy trying to shut out people. And if you ask me from my space, communication space, what communication does for people, verbal, active, whatever, it is one of our biggest problems in this country, that we're too busy bringing people down, like has just been done, as opposed to trying to bring a lot of people up. For the record, should anybody tell me that Dr. Nkrumah has not been recognized for who he was, outside of these parameters other people are drawing? Has any of our presidents, when I say our, the MPP presidents, ever come out to do that? President Kufuor or President Akufo-Addo? Never. They have never ever uttered anywhere that Dr. Nkrumah was not the first president of this country. What is happening is that it is about time we change the narrative to recognize other people for what they did. Have you noticed one of the things, people may not have noticed it, but it is a benefit of this quote-unquote controversy. Slowly now people are beginning to recognize the other names. Now people are mentioning names like Blay, Tigraf Johnson. They're mentioning those names. Before it was never in the books. Why? It's because now that we're recognizing this area, it's opening up. So now it brings pride to those families. It generates interest and aspiration to young people. So what is this extreme desire to throw tantrums and what have you about the degodification of Nkrumah? Now, let's get some facts straight. Nana Akufo-Addo never taught at any ideological institute. Never. Never taught at any ideological institute.
Did you join the CPP when you came back to Ghana?
Never.
He never joined the CPP.
Never.
You yourself, you don't know.
So let us all
call him.
know.
What was he?
Really?
How was he associated to CPP?
You see, you need to go and sit with him, do an interview and get that fact. And you have that space. So let me not throw out mine. Let him throw his. No, that's not the way to answer questions. And people tell me I'm telling you what to do. It's a humble suggestion. All of those things were humble suggestions. So they shouldn't think that. But I think that's the way to get the best answers. Then we kill it once and for all. It becomes this technique of trying to say he did this before. When you're an activist in your youth, when you're an activist in your youth, more often than not, you are leftist than rightist. It doesn't position you automatically into some party. Bless you. So it's important that we stop trying to impose things. Let's get. That's the beauty of sharing information. That's why you do things like Founders Day. You honor people and you also share their experience and aspirations. The minute, for the satisfaction of CPPs, the minute we begin to acknowledge those people, somebody like Dede Ashikinshan becomes recognized. You know Dede Ashikinshan?
Yeah.
Good. A lot of people don't know where. People like that become recognized. And it's not because she was a CPP proponent, but because in her belief,
your government has prescribed Republic Day? Can you explain why your government has prescribed?
I will not answer you because it is not your time to speak.
No, answer that question. Let the viewers know.
It is not your place to tell me what to say.
You have been telling me my place the whole. You have been telling me my place the whole.
You yourself said that.
He doesn't want to answer the question.
Yes, I won't.
Your government has prescribed Republic Day and made the day that the UGCC was founded a holiday. August 4th. It was not a Nifa holiday.
Not only do you
it was
allow
UGCC birthday
young
holiday.
people, you actually allow girls
to
see the aspirations that they can come up with. And it all of those sets values and all of that. So there's a benefit to doing that. There was a reference to Gandhi in particular I found interesting. Because Gandhi was never Prime Minister.
But he's still recognized as... I'm talking about the individuals who are recognized as those...
So what is wrong with recognizing Dangwa? What is wrong with recognizing Grant? What's wrong with recognizing...
Has anybody said...
What's wrong with recognizing Blake?
What is recognized? What
and then here's another matter of fact.
Is trying to demonize Nkrumah, which you people have done. You even went and bent Nkrumah's books.
I'm sorry.
Annie, we have a history in this country. Let's debate it.
I think it is
why were Nkrumah's books bent?
I'm sorry.
By the UP tradition.
The activities and the happenings leading to independence.
Nkrumah's books were never bent. I have copies in my library. If you
When
don't have
Nkrumah was overthrown.
When Nkrumah was overthrown, his books were not bent.
Which books?
His books were not bent.
Oh, but do you know how many books that were bent on David Dankwa?
That's
not what helps us. Do you understand? You see how I said, but do you know that David Dankwa's books? And then what?
They were bent.
How does that help you and I?
David Dankwa's books were bent way.
Yes. How does it help you and I when we do that to each other? It does nothing but
These
continue
are the very people who
keep
said
us
they didn't
apart,
want independence.
keep a rift, and don't
didn't
allow
want
us
independence.
to progress. So for me, these are
They
matters
didn't want
of fact that you get to know. Then you learn from and see that we should not continue on that trajectory.
Send representation to the Queen.
Things.
How can you go
and
to
rather,
the Queen
we learn,
and tell her that don't give them independence?
You see what
How can you do that?
You see what I told you? You see what I told you about his behavior? Just like this.
I'm impugning.
So
impugning.
there's
the character of the UP tradition.
In the fact that we must be
sending representation to the Queen to go and tell her
you
haven't finished with the experiment in the Gold Coast. Don't give them independence.
Does that not
tell you now you want recognition? Recognition for what?
Of this thing. Does it not tell you a lot about the understanding of this thing? If we can refer to Gandhi.
Even as a non-prime minister.
Thank you. So there's a certain collection. Now,
But
and
these
all
people-
these other people that you talk about. And by the way, I don't believe the Americans called George Washington the founder of America.
They said he gave them
Full
them
recognition of
independence.
all the players in America. Full recognition. The Constitution is not written by George Washington. You understand? So, if you want to make those comparisons, you fail. Because in fact, if you want to say theirs is a good system, what we are doing is what they are doing. In Britain, the history of Parliament and its achievements and all that, yes, Oliver Cromwell, but they don't leave it to him alone.
Yeah, but Ghanaians have not left it.
Yes, I just made a point to you
That
that up until Nana Akufo-Addo,
they
the
are
president,
demonizing Nkrumah. Explain, let him explain.
this Founders Day thing. People didn't know the likes of Blake, Autograph Johnson, and their role in they knew Dankwa, they knew background. Beyond that, how many other people? And then my final point about certain comments that were made by a panelist on one of your shows, probably the show this morning. Thing about Big 8, there's nothing like that.
I said it should have been 8.
Do you know why?
Because two of them were left behind. The helicopter was too small to take them.
Do you know how
Please.
the term Big 6 was coined? It's homework for all of us. So the people those 6 gentlemen didn't go out looking to be given nicknames or whatever.
I listened to a history that said that the Big 6 was coined from a newspaper report, which was indicating that some Big 6 members of the UGCC have been arrested, and that is how the Big 6 came up.
Thank you.
But it also goes on to say, the video went on to say that it's not just, they weren't actually 6, they were 8. But for the 6 that were taken, that is how the newspaper headline was coined from that.
So you see, the coinage allows us to enjoy ourselves, but it is the facts and truths that we must be interested in.
But is that not a fact that they were actually 8?
Good. So I'm saying, now because of that, because of what we've done, we're only not sidelining other people, even the 2, what are their names?
That's the point we're making.
Good. So let's work with that and be happy that there's an avenue for us to explore who we are better than for this thing of creating a situation as if nobody is taking anything from whoever. Things are being put in the right place. Things are being put in the right place.
So, Nana, so for individuals who fought against independence in the independence now, as opposed to independence in the shortest possible
Go and read
time.
about
Nana,
it. Then you can ask me
I'm
the
asking you
question
this
because
question.
you
I'm
see
saying
it
that-
requires dispassion.
Nana, I don't need to
and
read.
objectivity
Nana, I don't need to read
in order
anything
for
on this
us
question I'm
to
asking
fully
you.
appreciate
I'm saying
where
that
we're going.
independence now and independence in the shortest possible time. For persons who were fighting against the independence now, why are they fighting for recognition with the person who was fighting
That's
for
why I
independence
said that I
now?
wasn't going
Annie,
to. That's why I said that
when
you should rather
Nkrumah-
go and read before
Annie,
you continue with
Annie,
this. Because
after-
I knew this was the question you were
Annie,
going to ask.
after-
And it doesn't serve the
Annie,
purpose
after
as
their
far as I'm
attempts,
concerned.
after their attempts to
And
stop,
I'm not here to convince anybody.
listen.
Sorry,
I'm
it doesn't
here-
serve which purpose?
It doesn't serve the purpose that you're trying to put out.
Which purpose?
What you're trying to achieve. Me, my
I'm
purpose,
trying to
my
achieve-
purpose in
I'm
this,
trying to achieve you answering a question.
my purpose in this discussion is to let Ghanaians understand that we have a whole host of people who must be regarded and respected for their contributions to form the space that we're in now. That's what I'm interested in. I'm not interested in the translations of how certain statements made by people, when it's taken out of context in a very simplistic manner. I'm not interested.
Annie, let me, please.
I'm not.
When the Nkrumah tabled the motion of destiny in Parliament for this country to become a republic, the UP tradition walked out. So why are you trying to claim to be a part of the independence of this country? That's the history.
Started a fight to the path of
I said
independence.
they went to the United Kingdom to go and tell the Queen, led by Dr. Buzia, that we shouldn't be given independence.
Give us the source of your information.
Oh, you said ask her to read.
And now you said we should read. Now
You
you haven't
do
read
read.
that letter.
Because you see, it is
They
because
went as far
it
as
is because
Nana,
these
when you
types
were
of
talking,
things,
when you were talking, I
when
didn't
you
talk. Let me
don't
speak.
justify.
Let me speak.
It's why it's best.
Let me speak.
Not
You
to
two
refer
should
them.
read.
That is
Because
why I
clearly
said
you
what
don't
I
know the
said.
history of this
It's
country.
because
For
you
somebody
must go.
who doesn't even know, for an Oforiata who doesn't even know that Nanado came to this country and joined the CDP, you have a real problem. But let me listen. Ask Nana a simple question. Nana, why has your government removed the Republican Day holiday from our list of holidays?
Why are we
Simple
doing this show
question.
till 11?
Okay.
If you are not,
why are we doing
if
this
you
show?
want
Let me just remind you.
Why are we doing this
you
show
will
till
allow me
11?
to speak, Nana.
Tell me, sir.
You
Why-
people
why
went
will
as
you-
far
why-
as
why-
going to
why are we
President
doing
Kennedy
this?
to tell him he shouldn't give us the Akoso Modam.
Okay.